There's a midrash that teaches that when God decided to create human beings, God said to the heavenly hosts, the angels surrounding God, "Let us create human being in our image." And the angels were jealous. They didn't want to share God. So they said to God, "Why not hide that divine spark high in the mountains? Let them search for it." But other angels said, "No, humans are determined. They'll search until they find it." Another angel suggested that God hide the heavenly spark deep in the seas, but they soon decided against it, worrying that humans would search there too and find it. Finally, the most devious of the angels spoke up and said to God, "You should hide the heavenly spark deep within human beings. Surely they'll never look to find it there." On this day of Yom Kippur, we attempt to release our heavenly spark and to assume a place as angels surrounding and praising God. we cannot do this alone. And so we come together in community to witness the divine spark we each possess, to release it, and to rise up together to the angelic realm. On Kol Nidrei, we open our synagogue building in person and through our screens so that everyone is welcome in. All are welcome to join us on this holiest night of our calendar. And while we know that today is a day for fasting, we know that Judaism holds the value of pikuach nefesh, the saving of life above everything else. And so on behalf of our community, I offer a blessing in case any of us are unable to complete the fast this year. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu al pikuach nefesh. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who commands us to preserve and save life. We continue on page 2. Together we read, "My soul, bless Adonai. Adonai, my God, you are very great. You are clothed in beauty and splendor, wrapped in a robe of light. You unfurl the heavens like the curtains of a tent. And on this night alone, we wear our talit and recite the blessing together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu litatef bat tzitzit." We turn together to page 9 as we read at the top of the page. "The human spirit is the lamp of God, searching out what lies within us, guided by the flame of conscience. On this sacred night we search for truth. Shine your light upon us as we strive to serve you. May we find safety in your faithful love. We light the flame of healing and forgiveness. On this atonement night, we give thanks for love."
Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotov, v'tzivanu lechad likner shel Yom Kippurim. Lechad likner shel Yom Kippurim. Baruch atah Adonai, Baruch Shemo, Eloheinu melech haolam, shehekianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lahazman hazeh. Amen.
We turn together to page 15. Kol Nidrei, a chant that begins in a whisper and rises to a cry. On this night of promises remembered, each soul in solitude communes with the soul of the universe. God, from this day of atonement to the next, may we reach it in peace. All Israel makes these vows to turn from wrong, dishonesty, and greed, to walk in the path of justice and right. Yet we know our weakness, how prone we are to fail. Help us to keep our word. Help us to act with humility and integrity. We seek pardon and forgiveness. We seek your radiance and light. We rise together as we are able and face towards the east.
Oh
ובשיבה של מעלה ובשיבה של מטה, על דעת המקום ועל דעת הקהל, אנו מתירים להתפלל עם הערבריינים.
With one voice, assembled sages past and present declare, all may pray as one on this night of repentance. Let none be excluded from our community of prayer. With one voice, God and congregation proclaim, all may pray as one on this day of return. Let all find a place in this sacred assembly.
Kol Nidrei v'sarei v'charamei v'konamei v'chinuyei v'kinusei u'shevut din darna udishtevana
Little
all vows, resolves, and commitments, vows of abstinence and terms of obligation, sworn promises and oaths of dedication, that we promise and swear to God and take upon ourselves from this day of atonement until next day of atonement. May it find us well. We regret them, and for all of them we repent. Let all of them be discarded and forgiven, abolished and undone. They are not valid, and they are not binding. Our vows shall not be vows, our resolves shall not be resolves, and our oaths, they shall not be oaths. V'nislach l'chol adat b'nei Yisrael, v'lager hagar b'tocham, ki l'chol ha'am bishgaga. All shall be forgiven, the entire community of Israel and the stranger who lives in their midst, for all have gone astray in error. Moses prayed to God, as you have been faithful to this people ever since Egypt, please forgive their failings now, in keeping with your boundless love. We remain standing and continue with the Baruch Hu on page 22. If you'll please be seated. We continue together in the middle of page 26. Love beyond all space and time, your love enfolds your people, Yisrael. We receive it in your teaching, your gift of Torah, sacred obligations, discipline, and law. So let us speak these teachings when we lie down and rise up, and find joy forever in your Torah and mitzvot. They are the very essence of our life, ours to ponder and study all our days. May we never lose or be unworthy of your love.
כי המחיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגן יומם ולילה באהבתך אל תשים ממנו ata Adonai.
Baruch Shemo.
Ohei, Am Yisrael.
As we turn to page 28, on one day of the year, we say the line of Baruch Shem Kavod out loud, because on one day of the year, we are like angels reciting this prayer. We turn together to page 40 as we sing with all the generations before us, Micha Mocha, our song of freedom. On page 43, the peace of wild things. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things, who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time I rest in the grace of the world and am free.
We turn to page 45. Ki vayom hazeh yechaper aleichem, letaher etchem mikol chatotechem lifnei Adonai titaru. For on this day atonement shall be made for you, to purify you from all your wrongs, and pure you shall be in the presence of Adonai.
David Kadash Shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Ve'amad divrachutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayidchu beit Yisrael bagala u'v'ziman kariv v'meru
Amen. Yeheshvei Rabbah mevarach, le'olam uromei almaya, yitbarach.
Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalosh medekutsha
Richu.
Lida, lida min kol bechata v'shirata
Tushechata v'nechemata.
Davira ve'alma v'meru
In a moment, we'll turn to the Amidah, and we'll start with the words Adonai sfatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. We begin every single Amidah this way: the weekday Amidah, the Shabbat Amidah, the Rosh Hashanah Amidah, the Yom Kippur Amidah. Our liturgy gives us permission to wrestle with the words of these prayers, to say, I might need a little help with this whole talking to God thing. Even at Kol Nidrei, when we are not in a prime position to be asking for anything, after all, we're already asking for forgiveness and loving kindness and compassion, we dare to ask this too. God, help us find the words to talk to you. Help us find the words to talk to each other. We turn to page 46 and read at the top of the page. Have mercy upon me, O God, as befits your faithfulness. In keeping with your abundant compassion, blot out my transgressions. Wash me thoroughly of my iniquity and purify me of my sin. For I recognize my transgressions and am ever conscious of my sin. Please rise as you are able and face east.
Adonai
We continue with a few moments of silence. Please be seated at your own pace.
Now Etim hayo, shar kodamai, ay lecha havaya.
Yaribon, Yaribon, Alame, Amaya, Amaya. Atumaka, Atumaka, Melech Bachaya.
Shvachim nasadet safra veram shah, lachel kadisha divra kol nafshah. Tirim kadishim uvenei anashah, chevra tzera el feshemaya.
Yaribon, Yaribon, Alame, Amaya, Amaya. Atumaka, Atumaka, Melech Bachaya.
Ravivino vedach vetakivim, lachech ramaya vezakef kivivim. Luya kegevar, ay shenim aletim. Luya olgvatech, ay bechush benaya.
Yaribon, Yaribon, Alame, Amaya, Amaya. Atumaka, Atumaka, Melech Bachaya. Yaribon, Alame, Amaya, Amaya. Atumaka, Atumaka, Melech Bachaya.
It's worth sharing that setting of Ya Ribon Olam, an ancient mystical piyut, comes to us from Ukraine and was shared by my dear friend Cantor Sergei Schwartz, who brought it from his home country to give it to the world and binds us in solidarity with the Jewish community there tonight as well.
And we feel more of that we, of that collective and that community as we turn to page 82 for the Vidui, where we recite our confession in the plural, we. Our God and God of all generations, may our prayers reach your presence. And when we turn to you, do not be indifferent. Adonai, we are arrogant and stubborn, claiming to be blameless and free of sin. In truth, we have stumbled and strayed. We have done wrong.
Sararnu
Ashanu,
Ashanu,
Saranu,
Saranu,
Kishinu Ore,
Kishinu Ora,
Rashanu,
Rashanu,
Shichatnu,
Shichatnu,
Tiavnu,
Tiavnu,
Tainu,
Tainu,
Titanu,
Titanu,
Ay, ay,
ay, ay, ay, ay, ay, ay, ay, ay, ay,
Sarnu mi mitzvotecha umi mishpatecha hatovim velo shavalanu. Our turning away from your mitzvot and laws of goodness is a hollow pursuit. You are just concerning all that happens in our lives. Your way is the way of truth, while ours leads to error. What can we say to you whose existence is beyond time and space? What words of ours can reach your realm beyond the clouds, beyond heaven itself? Every hidden mystery, every revelation, surely you know them all. Ata yodea razeh olam, v'ta'alumot sitrei kol chai. Please read with me at the bottom of page 84. You know the secrets of the universe and the secrets of the human heart. You know and understand us, for you examine our inner lives. Nothing is concealed from you, nothing hidden from your sight. Eternal One, our God and God of our ancestors, we pray that this be your will. Forgive all our wrongs. Pardon us for every act of injustice. Help us atone for all our moral failures. Page 86. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha bezadon uvishkaga, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha bedibor peh. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha be'imutz halev, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha betifshut peh. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha bechachash uvechazav, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha birchilut. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha biflilut, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha bezilzul horim umorim. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha bevidui peh, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha behonaat re'ah. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha bechozek yad, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'masha u'b'matan. For all these failures of judgment and will, God of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, lead us to atonement. The ways we have wronged you openly and secretly, and harm we have caused in your world by losing self-control. The ways we have wronged you through sexual immorality, and harm we have caused in your world through consumption of food and drink. The ways we have wronged you by giving in to our hostile impulses, and harm we have caused in your world through greed and exploitation. The ways we have wronged you through cynicism and scorn, and harm we have caused in your world through arrogant behavior. The ways we have wronged you by hating without cause, and harm we have caused in your world through offensive speech. The ways we have wronged you with a slanderous tongue, and harm we have caused in your world through a selfish or petty spirit. For all these failures of judgment and will, God of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, lead us to atonement. We turn to page 106 for Ki Anu Amecha. Prayer is really, at its core, about using our imagination. Throughout our davening, throughout our praying, we'll encounter God as parent, God as ruler, God as judge, and in this piyut, in this poem, God even as lover, as shepherd, as the one that we cherish. In each of these examples, we see the way that we are tied to God and God is tied to us. We turn to page 106.
Ki anu amecha v'yatamakenu, anu vanecha v'yatavinu, anu nachatecha v'yatagoralenu, anu zonecha v'yataoenu, anu karmecha v'yatanotrenu, anu rayatecha v'yatadodenu.
We continue on page 113. Please rise in body or in spirit. Avinu Malkeinu, hear our voice. Avinu Malkeinu, illumine for us the path of our life. Avinu Malkeinu, how shall we find the strength to take the road less traveled by? Avinu Malkeinu, how shall we come to know the purpose of our existence? Avinu Malkeinu, how shall we learn not to live life in vain? Avinu Malkeinu, how shall we get out of our indifference? Avinu Malkeinu, how shall we distinguish between truth and falsehood? Avinu Malkeinu, how shall we find the answers to our questions? Avinu Malkeinu, how shall we gird ourselves with strength to seek answers?
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chatonu Lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu,
be seated.
I just said to Rabbi Danny, this is like riding a bike. You never forget. It occurred to me that this moment might be a little bit like returning home after a long journey. Everything appears incredibly familiar, and at the same time, somehow different. As I imagined, so it is. It is very good to be here, to be home with all of you. Seeing those of you with whom I shared 19 great years of smiles and tears, of dreaming and building and enjoying this community, being here is always special. And to new generations that found your way here in the past 17 years, wise decisions, your energy and your vitality are a welcome infusion. And it's nice to meet you. A special word of gratitude to my colleague and friend, Rabbi Danny, for inviting me to be here now. It was sometime midsummer, I believe, and the conversation went something like this. Herman, what would you like to do for the holidays? Anything. Yizkor, you've done that several times. Rosh Hashanah, perhaps Kol Nidrei. It was like throwing bait to a hungry fish. I took the bait, and I was snagged. Thank you, Danny, for this extraordinary, unusual privilege. A few days before Rosh Hashanah, I went to Rosenfeld's Bagel Bakery to purchase Yom Tov chalot. You know, the large, round, beautiful ones. As I searched for a parking space, if you've ever been to this bakery, you know that it is an almost impossible task. I saw a young man, clearly a Rosenfeld's employee. I rolled down my window thinking, I better ask if they have any chalot. I don't want to get out of the car if I can't, if they have none. And I said to him, do you have any holiday chalot today? With a gentle smile, he shook his head, communicating that he didn't speak a word of English. I found a parking space on the far side of the building, and a few minutes later, I left Rosenfeld's with a shopping bag filled with the prize in one hand, my cane in the other. And I started to climb the 5 or 6 steps to the street level. The same young man was standing at the top of the stairwell. He saw me struggling. Actually, I was in a lot of pain at that moment, and he gestured to carry the bag. Relieved, I handed it to him, and then with difficulty climbed the steps. He accompanied me, opened the car door, and deposited the bag filled with chalot. Of course, I expressed gratitude. He smiled without a word, and we went our separate ways. Pause for a moment, contemplate what had happened. For now, just hold it We'll come back to it. The task of this day, and actually this entire period, is twofold. Vidui, a self-examination of our behavior, and teshuva, turning from wrong paths to live in closer harmony with the noble values at the core of Torah, of Jewish teachings. Here is my vidui. Al chet shechatati, for the mistakes I have made. Al chet shechatati, for the wrong paths I have traveled. Al chet shechatati, for behaviors I regret. By putting career and ambition before my family's welfare. By hearing but not listening. By seeing without pause to absorb and to appreciate what I've seen. By judging others by how they looked. By allowing hubris to replace true understanding. By believing that I could solve others' problems. By neglecting friendships. By running and rushing and missing the awesome and the holy around me and in others. By being stubborn, allowing ego to distort thoughtful judgment, inflating my ego by giving less than my share to tzedakah, by believing that I am as good a person as I can be. How many times have I beat my chest and said such words? How many alphabetical lists of wrongdoings have I checked off as not applicable to me? How many catalogs of wrongdoing in how many machzorim have passed through my lips? And year after year, my soul-searching did not change my behavior very much. Of course, I tried. Noble efforts to be a better person, a better Jew. Perhaps this annual ritual of confession prompted a change here or there for the moment. But the mind is capable of unlimited tricks, denial, deception, defensiveness, and rationalizations. Yes, I need such mechanisms to negotiate the world, to function in it. And I am the same. I have not changed very much. The question that I ask myself over and over and over is, how can I move this profound exercise in honest self-examination from my lips to my hands and from my head to my heart? Perhaps there is another way, simple and yet profoundly challenging, and if successful, life-changing. So here is the formula that I have arrived at over the years. I present it here in a very compact way. Close the book. Close the book. Go home. Sit alone without distractions. Start asking myself hard questions. Listen to my heart, not just to my mind. listen for heart's feelings, longings, fears, and hopes. With these tools, I am ready to practice cheshbon hanefesh, a spiritual assessment. Cheshbon is the Hebrew word for counting, assessing, probing. Cheshbon hanefesh, a summing up of who I am when I look deep beneath the multiple facades so easily constructed and maintained. Questions. Why am I here? Traveling from birth to death. What is my purpose in life, in being alive? What will make the struggle from day to day worthwhile, pleasurable, fulfilling, lasting? Who do I love? How do I demonstrate my love? Time is fleeting. So what's really important? And what less so? What is lasting? What less important? What is sacred? Holy? What does God want me to do, to be? The questions of a cheshbon hanefesh. Inevitably, cheshbon hanefesh leads me to contemplate my mortality. Hopefully, I will reach Meya ve'esrim, 120 years, more or less. But as we say, life can turn on a dime. Long ago, a rabbi said it even better. Shuvu, return, one day before you die. Shuvu, return, one day before you die. I am going to die, sooner or later, hopefully the latter. And this leads to a conclusion, to a moment of spiritual awakening. If my days are finite, limited, then the importance of each day is magnified. Each one takes on a sense of urgency. Each day is, in a sense, sacred, to be revered, handled with exquisite care, cherished. How do I want to spend these precious days? What is important and lasting? What trivial thoughts and behaviors are simply clutter that I want to put aside? What experiences do I want to share with those closest to me? What gifts do I want to give them? How do I want to be remembered? What is my spiritual legacy? Has my existence made any difference in the lives of my wife, my children, my parents, bless their memories, to all the generations of Jewish people that preceded me? All of these questions lead me to a new way to look at myself, my behavior, my values, the people around me, and the world. I call this a spiritual awakening. I will admit that it is somewhat easier for me, an octogenarian, to think of my mortality. And you may ask yourself, what is he talking about death for? And you may wish I selected a more upbeat message. But the message of Yom Kippur is for all of us. The liturgy reminds us again and again of life's uncertainty. And the act of fasting underscores just how fragile we are. And this day places the reality of life's ultimate limits squarely in our faces. And there's no honest escape. So I focus on what is permanent and lasting, worthy of my embrace. In words deeply felt, I say, I'm sorry. I was wrong. Forgive me. And thank you. With this perspective, I acquire deeper appreciation for the exquisite and unfathomable intricacies of nature, from the smallest particle of a flower to the grandest range of mountains, from the first cry of a newborn to the dying wheeze of the aged. Such moments are present as well in a student's discovery and in the reconciling embrace of one-time enemies, in the modest labors of a peasant to feed his family. They are everywhere. Radical amazement. And with this sense of awe, life becomes more beautiful, more worth living, and death, perhaps, acceptable. Here, my link to all of humanity is awakened and revered. All of this is the perspective of a spiritual awakening. Which brings me back full circle to the moment outside Rosenfeld's bakery. Something happened that defies rational understanding. Indeed, no words were spoken. I was a human being in need. I was able to acknowledge my fragility, my dependency, and my need for assistance. Another human being, a total stranger, responding to the compassion, the divine endowed compassion within him, extended his hand. There was a momentary connection between us. I call it an instance of kedusha, of sacred interaction that transcended time and place and rational understanding. Dear friends, when we are spiritually awake, we will find a myriad of such moments. They exist everywhere. And we will make them happen. We will hunger for them and seek them out in relationships with our loved ones and with strangers, in the common tasks of every day, and in the significant markers of our cycle of life. We will not be surprised to find these sparks of holiness in the marketplace, and we will anticipate their presence in our synagogue. We may even come to believe that such moments are built into the creation of the universe itself. These moments carry the light that dispels the cosmic darkness. They are the power that pushes against chaos at every turn. On this Yom Kippur, may your cheshbon hanefesh and mine awaken for us these most important questions and bring us fulfillment with sacred meaning.
I think that we can all agree that we experience one of those moments of Kedusha, one of those moments of holiness in having Rabbi Blumberg back here up on this bima preaching on this Kol Nidrei. And I am already thinking about what I should be asking next summer in terms of next year's High Holy Day season. But if you do want to hear more from Rabbi Blumberg, tomorrow at 3:30, one of my highlights, at least for me, of this holiday has become the conversation that we get to have. And so at 3:30, do please join us when we will be continuing our conversation, reflecting on sermons, reflecting on what's going on in the world, and just enjoying spending time together in the presence of this sacred community, perhaps in another spark and moment of holiness. But for now, we turn together to page 116. We rise in body or in spirit, facing towards the east, for the words of Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, להטיף גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו פיגועי הרצון, ולא שמענו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שמנו כנוהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים לפני מלך המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, לתקן עולם במלכות שדי, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
As we turn to page 122, we face back in towards this community. As today is a day on which we have Yizkor prayers, we take a moment now to think of all of our loved ones who are no longer with us, those people we are missing at this moment. And together we offer these words of the mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach urutei v'amlich malchutei, b'chayachon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, b'galau v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mavarach la'alam ulmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'a v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitada v'yitalei v'yitalal shmei dekudsha brichu, le'ela u'le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, dam iran ba'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlam araba min shamaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imaru amen. Zichronam livracha. May their memories be for a blessing. And let us say, amen. If you'll please be seated. There are so many people to thank for these high holy days, and we will thank everyone fully tomorrow. But tonight, just to say a quick word of thanks to Emma Lurie and to Richard Kay for all of their technical and audio-visual support, and especially tonight to John Legg. What most of you don't know is that at 7:15 this evening, our sound system was not working, and somehow John found a way to fix it so that we could be seen and heard. So John, we are indebted to you every day, but especially at this moment. Thank you to our choir director, Susan DeSelms, our pianist, Vivian Montgomery, and our cellist, Andrew Kutrubas, and our wonderful choir for the beautiful music, which truly on this evening elevated our souls and our spirits. And I know that many of us are excited that Rabbi Blumberg and Paula are with us this evening, but at the end of services, they will be making a swift exit, so there will be opportunities to speak to them at subsequent dates, but this evening, just to allow them to leave. I know people want to speak to them, but just this once. A son and his father were walking in the mountains. Suddenly, the son falls, hurts himself, and screams, "Ah!" To his surprise, he hears the voice repeating somewhere in the mountain, "Ah!" Curious, he yells, "Who are you?" He receives the answer, "Who are you?" So he then shouts to the mountain, "I admire you." The voice answers, "I admire you." Angered at this response, he screams, "Coward!" He receives the answer, "Coward." He looks at his father and asks, "What's going on?" The father smiles and says, "My son, pay attention." And he shouts, "You are a champion." The voice answers, "You are a champion." The boy is surprised but does not understand. Then his father explains, "People call this echo, but really this is life. It gives you back everything you say or do. Our life is simply a reflection of our actions. If you want more love in this world, create more love in your heart. If you want more kindness in this world, you must be kind. Life is not a coincidence, it is a reflection." The gift of Yom Kippur is that it allows us to look at our lives, to consider them, reflect on where we have been in this past year, and then decide what we want to keep and what we want to change for the year that lies ahead. It's an opportunity to hear the voice calling back to us, to listen to its words, and to enter the new year planning to heed the call. We wish you all a Gemar Chatima Tova. May you be sealed for good and have a meaningful fast as we turn to page 126 and rise in body or in spirit for our closing song, Adon Olam.
Adon Olam Hashem Alav, B'terem kol Yisir Nivra, V'yein Tasov V'esov Kor, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra, V'yachareh Tikot Makol, V'yadoi Yilov Nora, V'yu Haya V'yu Oved, V'yu Yiyeh V'tisara, V'yu Echad V'yein Sheni, V'al Shema V'aviyah, V'li V'shit V'li Yachlit, V'lo Ha'oz V'hamizrah, V'yu Eli V'chaynu Ali, V'sur V'li V'yet Sarah, V'yu Yisir U'manosri, V'natosi V'yom Ekra, V'yador Aviv Ruvi, V'yet Ishan V'ya'ira, V'yibruvi V'yati, Adonai Elohim.
Chatima Tova. We'll see you tomorrow.